You know, if there's one place in the world I would love to live, would be South Africa. I mean, the weather, the climate, everything we have is just unbelievable. Unfortunately, the job doesn't allow that. It's the bad thing about playing golf, being away from home the whole time and sitting in hotel rooms. That's the worst part. It's tough on the family side, and what's good for me is being happy, yeah, and try and enjoy what I have in life at the moment. That's sort of where I grew up. Wildlife is obviously amazing. I mean, the kids know most of the animals now already, and I think they can learn so much traveling around the world.
Yeah, we're going over the big bump. Hold on.
Leo's very good at driving the game truck. And I remember learning to drive like that myself from when I was that big. You know, my grandfather's farm, sitting behind the wheel driving, and he didn't see me spinning his car around in the dust. It's just a different feeling, sitting there at night, listening to all the animals crying away, and it's definitely my place of getting away from golf. No TV, no phones, it's just the way I want it. I can't wait for the end of the year to come around, go down there and open the doors and just get the wildlife into the house. Welcome to my house at Sabula Game Reserve, and let's take a little tour of the house and see what it looks like. Let's go inside. When we started building the house in Sabula, I was quite keen on getting quite involved in the design. It's something from when I went to school. It was always something that was in my mind, drawing plans of houses and buildings and all that kind of stuff. All the living areas are sort of blended into one big living space. Come here, let's show it in the big table. This is probably the heart of the house. This is where we also spend a lot of time playing a bit of pool. A great view from on top here overlooking the game reserve. Even during construction I changed a lot of things inside the way I wanted to, and given my ideas the way I want to see it. So that was a lot of fun being so involved with the design of the house.
Perfect. That's perfect. The colours here are just so different. Everything's much more bright and beautiful, and he can just really relax here. It's what he definitely needs, and that's the great thing about the children, that it'll make him switch off.
And it's pretty active now, the kids. I mean, they're that age now that you just got to do something constantly, and I think they learn so much too. You're a good caddy, Leo. I'm so happy that I can somehow get the kids to grow up the way I grew up.
In the beginning, when we started playing golf and he started to tag along, we always used to think, let the big boys play and you can carry the bag, that type of thing. Obviously, today we'd like to carry the bag. So, it's changed a lot. We used to play golf in the bush, literally. From tree to tree. We just put a little stone down there to say, okay, that's the hole.
He was in love with the game, and he was prepared to face everything and anything, and we would get on his bicycle with his set of clubs on the back and drive down to the golf course a kilo away, and then he'll go and play 9 holes or so and then come back. He had an absolute discipline.
We used to have a practice net at the outside of the house, and I used to hit balls in it 10 o'clock at night, There wasn't any golf on TV, really, so you try and copy what's in a book. And I learned my golf out of Jack Nicklaus' Golf My Way book, and Tom Watson's book, and Ben Hogan's book. That's how I learned my golf.
When you look at Retief's swing, I mean, the great thing about it is that he has a wonderful setup to the ball. He's got very soft hands, and obviously that helps with his putting in the short game. And I think the biggest thing, if you look at Retief, is how huge his turn is. Just an amazing shoulder turn, which creates tremendous torque. And so he has the ability to swing easy and hit hard. He's kept it very simple through the years. I mean, he's done this on his own.
My first impression upon seeing him in America is like, you know, you couldn't help but be impressed by his athleticism, his grace, how big he was, how smoothly he swung, how far he hit it, what great touch he had. There was an eye on him because he was a big guy and he looked like kind of out of Ernie's mold. He looked just very poised, almost zen-like. I guess that was my impression of him.
How about this? How about this? Like that. Retief Goosen to 5 under par.
That's where you want to putt from, John, right there.
A lot of these players have their families and friends here with them. Retief Goosen is really all alone.
I was leading an event. It was like, wow, you know, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. And the week went on and I was leading and leading and leading.
Could be the shot that wins Retief Goosen the national championship.
The only time I really lost my concentration was on the 72nd hole.
So 2 putts for Retief Goosen to win this championship.
Really didn't focus at all on the first putt.
That was a little friskier than he had in mind, I can tell you that.
Well, there wasn't any real need to hit it 1.5 feet, 2 feet behind the hole here now.
Whacked it past the hole and then misread the one coming back.
That one was beyond the pale.
And he's still not in.
It was like, nobody's ever done that.
I think I felt the whole earth shook when I missed that putt. A lot of people were falling over. Apparently my dad too, he was, my mum thought he had a heart attack. I thought I had a heart attack.
To miss that putt, I just remember watching that and just being horrified. It's the kind of thing you have a nightmare about.
I don't think Retief himself knows what really happened. But he just pushed it a little bit and then he had an even more longer putt than what he had for his second one.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen anything like it, Roger. Never, and he's got a tougher putt than he just hit.
You always go, God, if I'd ever done that, you know, in front of all those people, I'd have to go run away and never show myself again. And he did that.
Unbelievable, and a guy that seemed so unflappable throughout the championship, and now he's, I mean, this is just kind of a meltdown here.
I said to Greg, who was caddying for me at the time, what's going on here? And you know, he just said to me, come on, let's focus, let's knock this putt in. The third putt was the hardest putt, you know, and you just misread one coming back, and now you got to make a one to stay in the playoff.
That was the most important shot of the whole tournament.
Now he's in. But he drops to 4 under. And Mark Brooks is in a playoff.
For someone to have thrown something away so severely, to look as though he just gotten a breakfast order where he asked for his eggs over easy and they brought him too firm. He was unbothered by it.
I mean, he 3-putted from 10 feet with 2 putts to win the U.S. Open. And on the last green, in front of everybody, with everything clearly on the line. And it was like, well, he's toast. He's going to turn to jello tomorrow.
Welcome to the playoff round for the 101st United States Open Championship between Retief Goosen of South Africa and Mark Brooks of Fort Worth, Texas.
For me, it's all about winning. I seem to play my best golf when I'm under pressure, and not really when it doesn't count.
So this 18-hole playoff is underway.
The following day, I just knew I had one guy to beat.
Solid as a rock. Retief Goosen with a par at the third. Oh, good shot. Good shot. Well stroked. Good result.
I can tell you, just by having a good golf swing, just by being a long hitter, it's not going to make you a champion. It's what's between the ears and knowing how to win.
Right in the middle.
He has made everything he's looked at today.
That will be the lead for Goosen with 2 holes to play.
That was amazing. That was incredible. I thought he had no chance the next day. I think that was one of the great demonstrations of poise and toughness and the ability to forgive yourself and move on.
There it is, Retief Goosen from South Africa, the 2001 U.S. Open champion.
I'll never forget how he overcame that. To me, that's as bad as anyone's ever done and had to come back the next day, and as well as anyone's ever done in reaction to it.
There have been comebacks in this championship, but this sport, I don't think, has ever witnessed a comeback like this from choke to champ, Retief Goosen.
Suddenly he's emerged, and suddenly he's a major championship winner. And there was this huge, silent man with this magnificently flowing swing, and you thought to yourself, my God, I mean, he could win everything. But then he never said anything.
I don't really show my true character on the golf course. The media and everybody else sort of always say the quiet guy in golf and whatever, but I'm a different man when I'm off the golf course.
Journalists like to package people. We like to say, oh, he's a character, he's not so much of a character, but he's terribly good at this, he's such and such, he's someone else. Well, the thing about Retief is he's very hard to put into a category, except that he's very quiet.
Agent Zero, I think, is what one of the caddies called him.
You can scarcely tell from his face whether he's had a 3 on a par 5 or a 5 on a par 3.
He is always determined. I think you just cannot see it always in the pictures, but the mind is always working. He's determined, but he always remains humble.
When we sit down and have barbecues and a couple of glasses of wine and that, he's got a great sense of humor, and you know, you always have a fantastic time, and he's actually never short of conversation.
He loves to laugh, he's jovial, he can tell a good joke, and that's the side that the public don't normally see.
We see somebody who's just a blank canvas, and he knows he's got more than that, and I think he's quite proud of being able to fool everybody.
South Africa, along with France and Italy, great wine areas in the world. And if you like to drink wine, it's fun to have your own wine.
My parents have had the wine and they say it is incredible. So, you know, I'm looking forward to getting my lips on it.
I drink the stuff, I love it, and if they want to do it, that's fine by me.
A lot of the wine experts down in Stellenbosch is talking about this wine farm up in a mountain area near George, and it is different to Stellenbosch. It's much cooler in the summer and winter time, so grapes just seem to mature that little bit longer, and we know this area is going to really grow in a wine region in South Africa, and you know, and I like to let my money work for me. I like to take it out the bank and invest it, and I hope that we can do something great about it. It's a bit of a secret at the moment, I think.
Welcome here. How are you? These vineyards, in these extreme climatic conditions, up high above sea level, fascinated Retief. We met one another a few times last year, and from there the relationship started. What we're trying to attain here is to cultivate. I've decided to cultivate the grapes in as natural conditions as possible. We have proteas, pincushions, honeybush, and all the natural plants growing in our vines. What we've noticed is that with the vines growing between the honeybush and the pines and the minty natural plants, we're actually picking up those wild flavors in the berries.
That's great. Beautiful.
We call it biodiverse farming. I've had our wines with winemakers in the Western Cape. They're really emphasizing the distinction we have, this unique flavors that our wine has generated.
Well, I'm glad I got somebody that knows what he's doing. The only thing I know what to do is how to drink it, I suppose.
Werner and Retief have decided to invest here, and our wines will be sold from the farm and exported from here at our warehouse, which is exciting. Now that the people have seen where it's from, I guess they'd love to come and visit.
Yeah, most important.
Nice.
Lost.
We were looking for an icon name for this icon wine. But how do you describe Retief? You know, he's a guy, everybody all over the world calls him Iceman and, you know, the chilled goose and whatever. And he doesn't have a lot of expression on the golf course, you know. So we thought, that's it, you know. This is the goose, this is his expression.
Expression. Well, I like that. There's a nice joke there, isn't there?
This, I think, hints at, you know, you don't know me.
For a guy who was very reticent, yeah, that it is very good.
I think he's got to be proud of that.
Here we go, mate.
Cynic could add in brackets LESS on the end, and that would be sort of a nickname for the goose, you know, expressionless.
I think the goose is much an expressionless person, but the better you get to know him, the more intriguing he becomes and the more little nuances you find in the person himself, which you will discover in our wine. You happy with that goose?
Maybe that's his way of speaking.
Builds a little bit of mystique around Retief.
Someone has been quite clever in thinking that title up.
I know it is a good wine, and hopefully everybody will be impressed with it who drinks it.
Perhaps the overriding memory of that year's Open was not the various play that led up to it, but the state of the greens on the Sunday. They didn't really look green, and you knew that they were going to be hugely difficult to handle.
People were putting off greens into bunkers, and that course was impossible.
He's already had 2 or 3 from down there, which have failed to come back up.
Nobody was making any putts that day. I mean, everybody knows the USGA lost those greens in general, not just the 7th green. There were others that were just impossible to stop the ball around the hole with.
Oh my goodness, he's never going to finish this hole.
And yet along comes this big, leaden-footed, steady, impassive South African who had a day when he seemed to have been touched. It was almost as if God had decided that everybody around him was going to have to fall away because Retief could do it.
Golf is all about feel. I mean, you can have a great golf swing. If you don't have any feel, you're not really going to play well. I love fast greens. The faster the greens, the better. I just love it when the ball just gets going.
You know, Retief, by playing an opponent like Phil Mickelson, who was playing as well as Phil was that year, that put him in the elite category.
Fabulous putt. Beautiful putt.
Phil was playing really flawlessly and making a lot of 5 and 6 footers, which were really hard to make on those greens. And Retief kept topping him with 10 and 12 and 20 footers. That probably is the greatest putting display in the history of the US Open on the last day.
I'm not sure if it was 10 or 11 putts on the back 9. It's kind of mind-boggling, really. For somebody to roll these putts in when the championship is on the line, you wonder if this guy's human.
Mickelson has every one of these 40,000 spectators on his side. I'm not surprised that they welcome or not welcome the name of Retief Goosen.
I found when Retief was in contention against Mickelson, and they were so biased. Obviously, there were some people trying to put him off, and everybody, being Americans, obviously were pulling for Phil to pull it off, you know.
You understand that, you know, they want their man to win, and I was there fighting him off. But in a way, that made me a little bit more determined to win. You know, if he wants it, he needs to come and take it from me.
The skill, the courage, the heart and the belief.
They're willing it in, and it's gone in.
He's found another one. That's a slugfest. It's fantastic.
One thing to hold putt after putt, but once you've made a pressure putt to save par, and then you're back in the weeds again on the next hole, it wears you out after a while, and it didn't wear him out.
That was a stunning golf shot. That really was wonderful.
17 was the turning point. I made my putt and he three putted, and that's where the turning point comes down to, the putting. I saw him hit a putt and miss and walk off, and I thought, well, maybe he made 4, but I didn't realize he made double. It's only after I've teed off that somebody said, oh, Phil made double. You know, I heard somebody say that, and it's only I realized there was 2 shots ahead.
Goosen, from being a shot back just over 2 minutes ago, is now a couple ahead.
Everybody's nervous on a golf course, but it's how you control your emotions and stay focused and try and block out what's really going on.
To imagine why Goosen looks so calm. He's never wavered, and he never looks surprised.
That's one of his advantages, is that he's not going to let the moment get to him. He's going to always be thinking clearly, and that's what true champions do.
Goosen, the chief of Shinnecock.
After 2001's 3-putt I had, I wanted so desperately to make that putt. I pretty much took the hat off and showed it, oh, I got you this time, you know. I was pretty proud about my achievement that day, in a way that not so much winning the US Open, but I hung in there and fought off the other sort of enemy. That was nice that time. The difference was, Tracy wasn't at the first one, and the second one she was there with Leo, so it made it very special.
Well, I think he's done a great job of keeping his privacy, and I think him and Tracy have done a great job of finding ways that they can still try and lead a normal life off the golf course.
I'm a little bit more laid back, shy-ish, and she's more outgoing. But in a way we don't clash, Yeah, Leo, he definitely loves the camera. He's not shy, and he's very outgoing, a lot like his mum. Ella, I think, is a bit like me. She doesn't like the cameras at all and likes to do her own thing. Is quite stubborn, so I think she's definitely got my character. Kids and family are number one, and I need to look after them, and that's my main priority. I would like to see the quiet man of golf disappear in a way. It would be nice to be seen a little bit different, maybe, by the media and so on, but it's hard for me to express out there, and I think I am getting better, and it's something I'm going to have to change myself.
Guys who are really successful are true to themselves, and that's something that Retief has really done. He's always been true to himself. He hasn't tried to change in any way to fit into anybody else's mold. He's realized the things that make him the great player that he is, and that's something that's really worked for him.
You don't think of Retief Goosen having his head turned by success. And if your head's not turned by success, then you've got a chance of following some kind of pattern.
Well, you win 2 US Opens, to me you're a great player. You have to know what you can do. And obviously Retief knows what he can do and does it.
He's sort of got the game that's going to last a long time. He's a very smart player. He's not a man of many words, never gets excited, but my goodness, he's a tough competitor.
He's very gifted. He can hit the ball high and soft. He's got a wonderful putting touch. He's got power. He's definitely got tools to win majors.
The world is at his feet, and who knows what he'll accomplish. But he certainly has the talent, the ability, and I hope the will to continue to win majors. He's my man.